Boom. All right, ladies and gentlemen, first show of 2024, and we're ready to rock and roll. So I got a deeply inspiring conversation coming up here. We're going to explore the transformation of power of self-belief, reliance, and entrepreneurship. So let's get this one started. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
Look, a business can give you everything you want in life. Prestige, wealth, freedom. It can also take everything away from you. This show is for those who are willing to take that risk. These are the real life stories of entrepreneurs. But before we start, I have one small favor to ask. Please leave a comment. It can be advice, critiques, tips, feedback, or share this with someone because your engagement is the most valuable and most powerful form of social currency. So thank you, and welcome to another episode of Business Bros. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we got an entrepreneur who's defied the odds to achieve remarkable success. His journey from relentless bullying to building a thriving business is a testament to the power of self-belief and resilience. So join us as we dive into his story and discover the lessons he's sharing through his David to Goliath newsletter. In today's conversation, we're going to unravel the raw and uncut life of an entrepreneur who's been through it all. His story, man, the idea that anyone, regardless of their past or circumstance, can rise to greatness with the right mindset and determination is what we're going to be talking about today. So let's get this one started. Let's welcome to the show, Mr. Nigel Thomas. All right, Nigel, let's do this thing, man. Welcome to the show.
Let's do this. I'm excited to be here. An absolute pleasure. Hopefully we can drop some value bombs today, share some fun stories. Maybe not all fun. It's not all been sunshine and rainbows over 2023. But look, I'm excited to be on the show. So let's do it, man.
Let's do it. All right. I always start off with the most obvious question right off the bat. Everybody's here. They're here to promote something that they're doing, a message, a product, a service, something. What is that for you?
Yeah. So look, in 2023, about 3 to 4 months ago, I was considering taking my own life. The reason why that happened is because I lost the person who believed in me most. The person that gave me the self-belief to go from a guy with no confidence to become a CEO of several marketing agencies that I built from scratch, and to overcome all the insecurities and being incessantly bullied at school. And really, I never understood what unconditional belief could do to someone else. Now, obviously, I lost that, but in that dark moment, I said to myself, if I'm not going to continue for me, I'm going to do it for everyone else who deserves a second chance and pass that belief on. Now, everyone knows the greatest underdog story of all time, David to Goliath, right? David versus Goliath. That's what the newsletter, but the movement that I'm building is all about. So I'm passing on this gift that I got given to me, that even though it took me to that dark place, I can bounce back, share my comeback in real time, and give that gift that obviously David had passed to him, I had passed to me, and share that gift with other people, other entrepreneurs who are going after life of everything to get after their goals, because ultimately, we don't have certainty in this game. We take massive risks, but no one's going to come to you with a guaranteed blueprint of success. That's for you to jump into the unknown. And just like Batman in The Dark Knight Rises, when he jumps without the rope and he gets to the other side and he goes and saves his city, Gotham, that's what I want to give entrepreneurs. Give them that self-belief, because as Steve Jobs said, it's the ones who are crazy enough to change the world, the ones who actually do. But what he didn't say, Hernan, is the best ideas are found in graveyards all over our lands, because those people didn't have the self-belief to conquer their self-doubt. And I want to make that chance a choice. And that is exactly what David to Goliath is all about. So subscribe now.
That's some powerful stuff, man. And by the way, yeah, the website's scrolling across the bottom, so you could definitely subscribe to that. And, you know, I'm sorry for your loss, but at the same time, man, I'm glad you're here. I mean, it could have been a completely different story. And, it sucks for people that have to go through trials and tribulations, but I love how you're able to turn it around and then kind of take that trial that you went to and now turn it into something that people can totally benefit from. Who is your target audience? Who are you going after? Who's best suited for your message?
Yeah, so it's mainly entrepreneurs who want to build massive things. I was always grown up in a very risk averse mindset. My two parents are accountants, and my eyes weren't open to entrepreneurship until about 26 years old. But now I've hung around with people, I'm 32 years old for reference now. Now I've hung around with people who have massive visions, but are totally obsessed on making them happen. I've been in environments where people say it's okay to sacrifice. And that's exactly the kind of community that I want to give. Like Steve Jobs says, for those crazy ones who want to go and achieve big things, to give them a safe environment where they not only can get the resources to help get them there faster through the experience I've had in entrepreneurship so far, but also to actually be in a community of other people who are all going after it together. So it's really entrepreneurs, but obviously there is another crowd of go-getters out there. And I'll be completely transparent, man. And I probably shouldn't say this. I don't exactly know who it's exactly for. And I'm going to figure it out as I go along. We've already got 4,000 subscribers. In 2024, we're going after and we're going to get 100,000 subscribers in the David to Goliath newsletter. I quit my 6-figure salary as CEO of Alpha Inbound to do this and go all in. And I'm putting my balls on the line because I want other entrepreneurs to know that it's the safety that stops you from achieving greatness. But I have to prove to them through relentless action of documenting this journey the whole way, not knowing exactly, having the uncertainty and telling you that's okay. But guess what? I'm still going to take relentless action every single day and figure it out as I go.
That's courageous, dude. I mean, at the end of the day, courage isn't, by definition, it means that you're still scared. You're still afraid. You don't exactly know where it's going to go, but you keep going anyways. You keep moving forward. You get up and you continue to go where you need to go, even though you don't exactly know what obstacles are going to come your way. At least you have a vision and a goal at the end where you're moving towards. Take me back a little bit. What's your educational background here? What's your credentials? Those types of things that kind of put you in this position to help.
Yeah, for sure. So at 26 years old, I didn't even know what an entrepreneur was. I had to Google it, right? So I feel like I had a lot of catching up to do. And on one walk home from work, I just said, fuck it. I'm done with playing it safe. I'm done with the life of mediocrity. So I basically quit my job and started freelancing on Upwork. And I got some clients running Facebook ads, e-commerce clients, because obviously at the time it was really good. I built my first agency, but I actually failed that because I didn't learn how to do sales. Then I basically found someone else who needed help building a real estate agency. And obviously, realtors notoriously hard to work with, but it was a lead generation team. So we essentially found these realtors home buyers and we called them up. I built an ISA team out in the Philippines that, by the way, outcompeted American sales teams, because I knew that with the right tonality and training that I could empower these individuals to be able to believe again that these big things are possible. And we did it. We got that business to a 7-figure run rate. Unfortunately, as you know, money and opportunity amplifies people's personalities. And I found out that the owner was a narcissist. So he burnt the business into the ground. So I phoned up an old ally, Josh, who's the founder of a little company called Alpha Inbound. It was little at the time, doing about 5,000 a month in revenue. And I needed a chance for redemption, man. So I put my balls on the line and I said to him, hey, Josh, don't know exactly how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to get this company to $100,000 a month in revenue. 2 years it took, twists, turns, ups and downs. Bear in mind, we have no reputation in the market, competing with some of the biggest agencies in the e-com game. But through sheer persistence, through doing outbound sales, through growing a LinkedIn profile to over 41,000 followers, we smashed through that target, hit 113,000 in revenue in September, and then we hit 140,000 by the end of the year. But obviously, from the outside looking in, everything was great. On the inside, I was crumbling, because obviously I was thinking of taking my own life and the team didn't know this. And that's when I knew I had to hand in my job and go and build this massive movement. So that's what I've done the last kind of 6 years. But I'm ready to up my game, use all the skill sets that I've learned so far, whether that be in sales, marketing, and most importantly, my biggest strength, which is leadership, as well as being able to talk. I like doing that, as you can see here, and go and build this massive movement. Because sure, it's 100,000 subscribers, but every single one of those numbers, Hernan, stands for an individual who wants to climb the mountain of greatness. I'm building a movement here, and that's so goddamn important.
Let me ask you about becoming an entrepreneur. I mean, there's a lot of people who want to do it. You literally did it. You cut off ties and then you jumped full steam ahead. And that's not something a lot of people are willing to do. Walk me through your mindset when you're looking at your bank account and you're like, that consistent paycheck's not coming in. And, you said, you weren't great at sales. You're like, I need to figure out how to do this thing. Moving on to that next level without having the consistency of the security. What was it like becoming an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so the reason I fundamentally believe in entrepreneurship, by the way, if anyone doesn't know, I've not got my stand with me today, hence why I'm pretending like I'm doing some classy interview here. But the reason I fundamentally believe in entrepreneurship is because I believe and know that constraint drives innovation. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. So when your back's up against the wall and you haven't got much resources, you essentially figure out weird and wacky ways to do things because you're constrained. Now, what that actually leads to is massive breakthroughs and innovation, whether that's finding out how to get a great client. For example, one of my friends, Sean Riley at Dude Wipes, a big e-commerce brand, they went out to a football stadium and put a massive sign up. They've got this incredible brand. They have like ass wipes and stuff, Dude Wipes it's called. And essentially put a massive sign up. And I can't remember exactly what it said, but they had it on national TV. This was literally free, like a cardboard sign. And in one weekend, they got 3 million site visitors and broke the website. So it's those kind of crazy things. Like, that's pure innovation when your back's up against the wall. And that's why I fundamentally believe in entrepreneurship. But if you have a backup plan, if you have side hustles, if you have your job that you can rely on, you don't force your brain into thinking like that. So you don't get the true innovation. And that's really when you're in that place, even though it's so hard, that's where the best ideas come from. And that's where the biggest breakthroughs come from. The last thing I'll say, my favorite quote, bar none, is from Winston Churchill. One man with conviction will overwhelm 100 who have only opinions. But you get real conviction when you go through those darkest of moments, when the success seems absolutely impossible, but you figure out a way through thinking creatively. And when you go through those moments, when you get onto podcasts like this, when you get into sales calls, when you get in front of your team, you have such powerful conviction that you walk into a room and everyone turns their heads and goes, who the fuck is that? And that's where you start getting massive success in life. But it's only if you're in that dark place and you stay in there and you believe and you figure it out.
Man, you're making entrepreneurship sound a little scary, and it is, and in all reality, it is. But there are so many people right now living in a life, graduating high school, going into the world where things just cost so much. The average age of somebody trying to buy a home, I saw the other day, was like at 36 years old here in the United States now. It's just trickling up. Putting gas in your car is an expensive thing. Buying groceries, just surviving, paying rent is so ridiculously expensive. The thought of getting started as an entrepreneur is tough. What advice are you giving young people today, or people who are thinking about going out and doing something similar, but are scared?
I'm going to give you two pieces of advice. One is this, and this is something that if they taught this one thing at school, you could probably cut out about 5 years of teaching. You can get Pythagoras' theorem, you can shove it up your ass, because this blows any of that kind of advice away. If you're willing to take 999 no's to get one yes, you will be goddamn unstoppable in anything you do. So there's the first thing. The second thing is, instead of penny pinching and, thinking about saving Starbucks. And look, I understand that wealth is the difference between how much you spend and how much you earn. But at the end of the day, if you're always focusing on the penny pinching, you won't learn skill sets and be able to make real money that the market deems valuable. What I mean by that is, instead of focusing on saving your Starbucks, focus on how to learn sales so then you can make $500 an hour while sipping your fancy frappuccinos. Okay, so other skill sets that the market really deems valuable. And this takes time, by the way, but you've got to put the work in the dark to bring greatness into the light when no one is looking. So sales, coding, marketing, leadership, these are the things that if you can get into a startup company, or obviously if you run your own business, and you can learn this, especially if you surround yourself by mentors who are already good at that, these are the things that in 5-10 years time, you're going to blow past loads of people because you understand skill sets that the market deems extremely valuable. So I would focus all your time and energy on these high level skill sets. And that's where you can make suddenly massive, growth, but you have to have delayed gratification because you're not going to see the fruition of your work right now. When I was working that real estate agency, because the owner was a narcissist, I was getting paid $2,500 a month, right? And I was running the whole 20-person team doing, 7-figure run rate. But here's the thing, even though this guy took all of the credit, I was the one who actually got the experience and all the skill sets, managing, leading teams, sales, marketing. So when I went to join Alpha Inbound, this last agency, I took it from 5 to 140K a month in 2 years, but only because I got the experience prior. So if you're willing to get the experience and build up the skill sets that the market deems valuable and put yourself on the front lines, even if you're not getting paid that much, it will pay dividends in the long term. So then we have 2 pieces of advice. 1, take 990 no's to get 1 yes. 2, learn skill sets that the market deems actually valuable.
Yeah, that time frame makes a huge difference. It's going to take longer than you think it is. It's going to cost more than you think it is. And I love how you kind of describe that whole skill set thing, because at the end of the day, even if you get fired, those skill sets are now with you. No one can take those away from you. And you can apply those skills either to your own entrepreneurship or to any other venture that goes along the way. Now, when you step into the entrepreneurial space, it's nothing but putting out fires. You're constantly making mistakes. You're constantly having your team make mistakes that you got to come in, fix, train, teach, whatever it is that you got to do. What are some of the biggest mistakes that have taught you the biggest lessons as an entrepreneur or as you were on the come up?
Yeah, so in that first agency I was talking about, I essentially figured out that freelancing on Upwork wasn't going to be the way to make real money. And this was when I realized to myself that I needed to make sales. So I started reaching out to brands using cold email. By the way, I wish I had the AI tools that we do today. Back then, I was just handwriting all of them in Gmail, sending them out one by one. And I managed to get a big 8-figure sportswear brand on a call. And people say, I've got the gift of the gab. I'll let the audience be the judge of that. But I managed to close them on a 7K month retainer. My mind was blown, man. Like I was making 3 times my salary overnight. But here's the thing, complacency set in. I stopped hustling for new business. And we got such incredible results. Actually, the results were too good. Because one day I got on a call with the founder and she said to me, "Hey, great news, Nigel. Our business has been acquired." And I was thinking, where's this going? But unfortunately, the new company has got an internal marketing team. So as of today, your services are no longer needed. Due to some other poor financial decisions up to that point, I was now left 90% of my revenue gone overnight, and I was $50,000 worth of debt. I sank to my knees. I had tears rolling down my face. But the worst part was, Hernan, is that I knew deep down it was all my fault because I got complacent. So my advice and my biggest lesson from that is complacency is the enemy. When things are getting good, look at the stock market. It's cyclical. This is how life works. When things are getting good, double down and go 3 times as hard because there's something bad about to happen. And make sure you always keep things in your control by building your pipeline and putting things in your control and doing the inputs every single day, regardless of how good things seem. Because I'm glad I learned this lesson then, because obviously then I went to lead on teams. And when you're leading on teams and you get complacent, that means that you then have to fire people and make them redundant, which means that obviously they're taking care of their families. And that is one of the worst things to do in business, have to fire people when obviously they're trying to support their families. The way you get over that is make sure that you never, ever get complacent and build a non-complacent like team culture that always is striving, always doing the inputs, and never, ever get lazy.
It's the processes and procedures that we have to have in place, and the consistency is what's going to get you there. I mean, that's a very, very valuable lesson, because success is a poor teacher. Oftentimes we work really hard to get a certain goal and then we hit it, right? And sometimes we hit that goal really early and we think we're amazing. We are the Goliath. We are the one who is winning here. And then life slaps us in the face, right? And then all of a sudden 90% of your income's gone. But you bounce back. You came back. You started doing this thing. You're getting subscribers. 4,000 subscribers is nothing to laugh at. The goal of 100 is amazing to even have. And I know you're going to get there, but there's a reason why people are going to come, right? There's a reason why they're going to subscribe. What is it that you do best? What is the reason that they're going to go to that, to your newsletter and sign up?
Because I'm honest. Most social media is highlight reels. I don't share the good, or not just the good. I'll share the wins as well. But I also share the bad and the damn right ugly. I'm documenting the life of real entrepreneurship. And I think people can relate to that. Even within, like, we've literally only done 2 newsletters, and we've had people reaching out with massive essays. I've never had this kind of feedback before. And I can start to see, Hernan, that we're creating a movement here. We're giving people, the acceptance that it's okay to be honest about your feelings. Life is an emotional journey. I'm sure we've got to make sacrifices. We've got to do the work regardless of our feelings, but it's okay to open up. It's okay to be vulnerable. And I want to document the comeback in real time, because look, most people get to success and then they look back on their journey and then they obviously talk about the struggles they got through. I'm literally in the pain right now. Like the other day, just before it launched, the woman that broke my heart, the person I lost, I saw her for the first time in 6 months with her arms around a new partner. And it literally tore my heart to pieces. I thought I was over it, but I wasn't. And this was a day before launch. Talk about timing. And it was such a test of character. But that's what I talked about in the newsletter. And people are just like, wow, like you're documenting in the pain. And if you can do that, I think it gives you such a competitive advantage, not only to yourself, looking back to know you got through that, but it's also just the real shit, man. And that's what I'm all about. So, David to Goliath, it's about climbing that mountain of greatness. And it can mean whatever it means to you. It's not just about being the underdog in business and conquering the big corporations, as most people see David to Goliath. It's also, David can be the demons in your mind, like it is for me every single day. And that's why I get up at 6 a.m. every single morning, whether it's dark, pissing rain, and I go on a run and stamp out the voice of the victim. Then I get to work and I just document the whole thing and share everything, my whole self. And I think people connect with that because I want to give them the message that it's okay to do that. And people are starting to reciprocate that and share their messages with me. And together, it's strength in numbers. And we can climb this mountain of greatness together. And that is the most exciting thing.
It is very difficult to be that vulnerable. I think, especially in a world today where we're living through social media with nothing but the highlights, that vulnerability, people definitely connect with it, because at the end of the day, we're all imperfect humans. We all have that voice in our head that 95% of the time is criticizing us instead of encouraging us. And I think we need to connect with people who are also going through that, to push each other in that direction where we're like, look, that voice in your head isn't you. That voice in your head can shift. We can make a difference. And I love how you get up every morning and go for the run because you're doing something uncomfortable. David Goggins would say you are callousing your mind every time you do something that you do not want to do. Speaking of that, there's always room for improvement. There's always something that you can do better. And when people sign up for your newsletter, they know that you're always improving because they're looking at your vulnerabilities every single day. What is it that you feel you want to improve on the most right now so that your viewers, listeners, followers can get a better grasp of who you are?
Honestly, I can improve in every department, but I think one of the biggest things that I learned, because I try to improve everything in terms of all my weaknesses and all my strengths. And one of my mentors, and this is a great lesson for anyone listening, said to me that actually you should just focus all in your strengths and surround yourself with other people that also can then focus on their strengths, and together as a team you can win. And this is why I fundamentally disagree with the solopreneurship movement, because what's true freedom? True freedom isn't breaking away from the 9 to 5 so you can do every single job, including all the ones you don't hate. True freedom is working on what your strengths are every single day, surrounding yourself with a team of people that are also working on their strengths, and together as a team you win. Not only operationally as a business does that mean you can grow 10 times faster, it's also so much more fun. And as humans, we're tribal by nature, and we weren't meant to do everything. You know, we were all wired differently. Like, we're weird and wacky and wonderful. And like you said, we're perfectly imperfect. That's what the human experience is all about. So I want to embrace that more, lean into my strengths. And this time, when I'm building this business, just be brutally honest about what I love, what I don't love, and then hire a team of individuals that obviously have strengths in areas I don't. And together we all win. And I want to share that message and document how I'm doing it so other people can do the same. Because they did last thing I'll say on that is they did a Harvard business study and on happiness. And they tracked these guys for 85 years, the longest study ever done on human happiness. And they literally looked at everything. Like, they looked at relationships, they looked at people's personal health, and the findings were quite interesting. The most important thing for human happiness, bar none, that affects everything, you know, your health, your relationships, your stress, is deep, meaningful relationships. And that's where social media, even though it's great for connectivity, it's so shallow. It doesn't give us deep, meaningful relationships. And if you can surround yourself with a team and all go through the struggle together, that's where you win. And that's where the greatest moments that you look back on in your life. Because when you're about to die on your deathbed, all you're going to have left, regardless of how much money you make, is your memories and the people that you had them with. So if you can conquer your dreams and do it with a team of people and build those deep, meaningful relationships, which people that empower you and you empower them, that's winning in life, man. And that's what I want to do more of and share it with everyone, the David to Goliath newsletter and community.
100,000 subscribers is the goal. You started this a few months ago. You're at 4,000. What is the vision for this thing overall? Where do you see yourself in the next few years where, you know, people are seeing the struggle today, but what's the vision in your head of where you're going?
I'm going to build something massive, but I'm one of those people that I do have a massive vision in my head, but I also really care about my reputation. And I care about my reputation because I want people to trust me, so then that they will actually take my advice and implement it. The reason I say that is I can sit here and talk about a big grand vision, but without achieving this 100,000 subscriber number and putting my balls on the line and doing it, I don't feel like I'll gain that trust. So I want to focus in. I want to do that first. And then I'll reveal what the next step is once I've got to that landmark, because it's going to require every ounce of my being to be able to do it. But if we can do it, if we can build this massive community, then the next step is uncovered. And then really, and it is around building a massive entrepreneurial community, everything will come to life. But right now it's about the process, and it's about focusing in and chunking in on this goal, which that's enough in itself. And once I've got there, I'll reveal the next thing. But yeah, it's really important to me that people judge me by my actions, not just my words. And that's why relentless action and actually doing this and achieving this goal is the big thing I want people to think about.
Dude, 100,000, you're going to get there. But the only way you're going to get there is if people understand how they can get a hold of you. So if people want to know more about you, Nigel, they want to know about the newsletter, they want to know about watching your journey and being a part of who you are and what you're going through, how can they do that?
Yeah, so LinkedIn, Nigel Thomas. I've got about 43,000 people there that follow me, and I speak every single day and document this journey. So that's the best social channel. But what's quite funny, as well as the newsletter, obviously, David to Goliath, you can find that on LinkedIn, by the way. Just go there and click the link. Me and my friend, and this is the guy that was there for me in my darkest moments. This is the guy that goes with me on the 6 a.m. runs. Right now, he's involved building this, and he's just literally doing it off his own back. And we're in this together. And we went to Manchester Library. Again, for anyone who hasn't started documenting yet, we go to a free library with a free podcast studio. And we just went there a few weeks ago and just started talking. And now what's happened is we've launched a David to Goliath podcast. So if you go to Spotify, type in David to Goliath, you can hear raw, uncut conversations. And by the way, I should say, the David to Goliath newsletter isn't just about me documenting my journey. I'm also interviewing some of the best leaders of our generation. The first person we had up is Jake Carls, who went from class clown to $30 million real life Willy Wonka through sheer perseverance and conquering his self-doubt from a huge company called Midday Squares that had taken on the Goliaths such as Hershey's and Mars in the chocolate arena. We've got tons more guests lined up. So every Tuesday we have the comeback email, and every Thursday we're interviewing some of the best leaders of our generation, people who jump without the rope and conquering into the unknown. So find us at the podcast, Spotify, find me on LinkedIn, and find us on the newsletter. Get involved, share your feedback, share your struggles, and together we'll win this thing. And the last thing I'll say on that is keep dreaming like a giant, but fight, believe in your dreams like a goddamn underdog, baby.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Nigel, thank you very much for coming on the program today. Ladies and gentlemen, scrolling across the bottom, or if you're only listening, davidtogoliath.com, davidtogoliath.com. You can find Nigel on LinkedIn, and it's you just look up Nigel Thomas. It's Nigel Thomas -AI technically, but that is his handle for LinkedIn. And like I said, guys, everybody's going through stuff. We all have issues. We all have struggles. Nothing comes easy. Even winning the lottery ticket, although that would be cool, you're still going to come across issues in life that are a little bit different. So, we don't have that winning lottery ticket for everybody, but we do have a winning lottery ticket if you believe in yourself. Constantly work towards your goal. And davidtogoliath.com is a newsletter you might want to subscribe to so you can see people doing the work necessary to succeed. Nigel, thank you very much for being on the program today. Ladies and gentlemen, look, here's the goal. We create long form pieces of content so we can then give them to our guests. Nigel's going to get this full-length episode, and we're going to chop it up into short clips so that you can post stuff on social media to get your message out there. Because at the end of the day, if you're not marketing your stuff, like we talked about earlier, right? If you're not out there actively looking for more clients, you're going to struggle in business. So make sure you get that marketing done, squared away. Nigel, thank you very much for being on the podcast today. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace. And we're out.
It's over. Go home.
Is your business in need of marketing? Try starting a podcast. But not just any podcast. Podcast like a pro. We can show you how to take your business from being invisible to becoming a brand people trust. Go to www.businessbros.biz to get